I was already here 3 times, and it asked me to update. I did. I have chosen.
Hey, go ahead. We'll just kind of remind everyone, if you could please just mute your phones as we move forward here, or your computer or whatever audio device you're using. I'll try to mute you if I can, but sometimes it's a little tough, and trying to do 18 things at once. But hey, just want to express my appreciation for everybody who is doing this every week, coming on and joining us and getting these updates. Really appreciate it. I'm really hoping that we are on the back end of this pandemic, and that we have seen the other side. Let's go ahead and get started. Once again, we kind of start just looking at the data. Where are we from week to week to week? And this was last week. Last week, 151,000, almost 152,000 tests performed, 8,208 positive cases, 410 deaths statewide. Numbers from last night, you can see we've increased the number of tests by over 33,000. We've got about, what is that, 800 or so more positive cases and 19 more deaths. These numbers are a lot better than where they've been in the last few weeks. So we are kind of seeing, this go down. What does that mean? The positivity rate. Week before, the positivity rate had dropped from 6.8% to 5.4%. This week, it dropped from 5.4% to 4.8%. We're seeing that, as we see more folks getting tested, we are seeing that positivity rate go down. So that is all good news. The thing that we've been looking at the last few weeks, as opposed to the study out of the University of Washington that was talking about hospitalizations, is the infection rate. And a couple of weeks ago, when we started looking at this, there were only a few states that were over 1, but you can see as things start to open up, that infection rate goes up a little bit. So, where are we at in Nevada? You can see down here, Nevada, we are in the bottom 10% of the country in terms of infection rates. So when you look at how we compare to the West, last week I think we were the best in the continental United States. We can see now Alaska moved from one of the least states to one of the higher states. Hawaii's moved up there. So now Nevada, over here on the left-hand side of the screen, we have the lowest infection rate in the West and one of the lowest in the country. So what does that mean in terms of where we're at today? So this was last week, 0.86% infection rate. That's a good number. Anything under 9 is a good number under 1 is a good number, because that shows that you're not infecting. If you are symptomatic or asymptomatic, you're not infecting more people. So we can see that this rate has remained steady. So from last week to this week, that 0.86%. So, on the infection side, on the COVID side, we're doing all right. Unfortunately, on some of the other stuff that maybe, part of this pandemic may be fueled by the media, anarchists, folks that really don't like this country. We've unfortunately seen a lot of civil unrest. This was Las Vegas this week, and absolutely breaks your heart when you see that a Metro officer was shot in the head. This is Shea Nicholas. He is right now on life support, although there was some good news yesterday. They were able to remove a bullet from his neck, stabilize his blood pressure. I know a lot of us are saying prayers, and in the face of a lot of this turmoil and unrest, it is nice to see folks in the community come out and show their support for the folks that are there to protect us, whose jobs have been made tremendously harder over the last week, for really, especially here in Nevada, nothing that they did. In Reno, Saturday night, we had protests. They broke into our city hall. There's a flag from the USS Reno that was in World War II that was given to the city in 1946 that was stolen.
Oh, man.
The news on that is that flag was returned this week. I was down there on Sunday morning with my kids, talking to a reporter, probably the worst thing you could have done. And I didn't seek her out. She just, knows me, wanted to talk to me. Hey, why are you down here? Well, we're down here because this is our town. This is where I live. This is where my kids were born and are growing up. And me, like everybody else that was down there because they care about this community. They care about this place. They, are good citizens who want to clean stuff up after what happened. Unfortunately, people in the press always like to ascribe some kind of political motive to everything. And, really that is pretty gross. And the reporter I talked to lost a lot of respect for her, when she refers to me as, a conservative political operative, silly stuff. The media, unfortunately, they are, I think, driving a lot of this hate, division, and unrest. It's not everybody, but it's enough to want to point out and just remind folks, take what you hear with a grain of salt from these folks. I hate to say it about specific individuals, but or if it's a business decision, but their goal isn't to talk about how great folks are when they come out and they do things for the community, when they support our police officers. It's about promoting hate and division, and it breaks my heart to say it, but I think it's true. Other good news, we are back. Casinos are reopened. The Strip is reopened. Although limited, went into the Atlantis Casino yesterday to get some lunch with my family. Support the industry that has kind of been set back on its heels through this pandemic on its first day of reopening. While the buffets are absolutely emptied out. At the Atlantis Casino, they moved one of their restaurants into the buffet area. Little eerie seeing it as empty as it is. But when you went out on the gaming floor, I will tell you, for a Thursday afternoon at noon, it was hopping. And, I'm hoping that is a sign of good to come, that folks, are wanting to get out there, wanting to support the industry that drives a tremendous part of the economy of the state. So let's, I'll say some prayers now that we are gonna restore order to our cities, our state, our nation. We are gonna see our economy get back. I've been watching the news this morning. The jobs report came out. It was better than anybody anticipated, with 2.5 million jobs added in May. A 13% unemployment rate, which is still awful, but something to be celebrated. Seeing more folks get back to work, stock market's back up. So it looks like we have some confidence. And, I think what we just all need to be aware of, and I know I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to folks here, that we do have folks that are going to try to talk down this economy, talk down our country. And, I think we just need to keep doing what we're doing. You guys going to work every day, moving packages, moving freight, supporting the economy. Once again, very proud to work for this industry. More positive news this morning, and that's on the Paycheck Protection Program. There have been some criticisms with some of the provisions in the bill that do make it difficult for employers to bring people back. Some issues with the loan forgiveness, not being able to rehire enough folks because of the increased amount of unemployment that people are getting. So some changes were made, and it's rare to see something pass out of the House of Representatives with the vote that it did. But 471 to 1 unanimous consent by the Senate on Wednesday. And then this morning, President Trump did sign these changes into effect. And I think these are all positive changes for our industry. These are things that is going to make it easier on businesses that have received those loans. So let's just talk about what that looks like. So they have extended the duration of the loan from 8 weeks to 24 weeks. They have extended they have extended the deadline to rehire workers. You were supposed to, under the old provisions, you were supposed to rehire everybody by June 30th to qualify for loan forgiveness. Now you have until the end of the year, until December 31st. If you are unable to rehire employees or other qualified folks, or your business doesn't go back to the same level of activity due to some of the requirements put on the feds, in terms of decreased capacity, those loans are going to be, those loans are still going to be able to be forgiven. There was a 75% threshold that said you had to use 75% of that loan on payroll, on benefits. That has now been reduced to 60%. So I know that talking to a number of you, that was something that folks were worried about. So that's good news. And now you're going to have 10 months to begin making payments. So, that's also good news if you don't apply for that forgiveness. And once again, that's a 1% loan. And the maturity level, it's not going to be 2 years, it's going to be 5 years now. So, I think these are all good changes, good news, where you see Republicans and Democrats working together, House, Senate, President Trump, to bring these changes into effect. These are all good things. And we are going to have that posted on our website so you can go and take a look. Once again, getting back to some of the ugliness that we saw this weekend, we know that it really is impossible for folks to plan for every situation. And you look at what happened to the driver of a fuel truck for a Keenan Advantage, based out of Ohio. This driver, we heard so many different things from the media when this came out, that, he ran through a blockade, that he wasn't paying attention to any of the signs. But that's really not the full story. So the driver was off on a Sunday, was making an emergency load of fuel, run of fuel to a convenience store in Minneapolis owned by an African-American who said, "Hey, I am out of fuel. I need some fuel." So leaves his 8.5-month-old pregnant wife at home and makes the run to Minneapolis. There was no road control. There was nothing that told the driver that he shouldn't have been there, contrary to what we heard from some of those early news reports. He got in a situation, and thank God didn't kill anybody on the bridge. Very, very fortunate that didn't happen. Was removed from the truck, was beaten. They were able to get him out of there. They were able to save him. Unfortunately, and this is how quick social media works and how dangerous some of these stories can be from our press when they're not responsible. They released the guy's name. Folks found out where he lived. They went to the home of his. They went to his home where his 8.5-month-old pregnant wife, or 8.5-month pregnant wife, was there alone, and tried to pull her out of the house. Luckily, the neighbor was able to save her. They got her into an assisted living facility where she's now protected. The driver was cleared of all charges. But I think a situation like that, and going back almost 30 years ago to Reginald Denny in Los Angeles during the LA riots, I think it is important just to talk about what drivers need to do to be aware so they don't get into these unfortunate situations. The American Trucking Associations and the Safety Management Council has a number of tips. And, once again, this is a realization that you can't plan for every situation, but here's just some things that we should do. So, if you see an emergency situation, report it to law enforcement, call 911, avoid any areas of unrest and exercise caution. Unfortunately, you don't always know if you're going to end up in a situation like that, as we saw in Minnesota. Plan for those road closures. Check with the law enforcement, your dispatchers, to make sure that those routes are open and that you can safely deliver. Contact your customer. Make sure that you can still make that delivery and get some on the ground knowledge from them. Remain in regular communication with that dispatcher on travel updates. And once again, that's on the dispatcher too. So much is happening on social media that you can see a lot more immediate than a traditional news source or radio, but just, keep that communication, plan ahead. If you can make deliveries in the day instead of at night, try to find those safe, well-lit areas. You want to just make sure, and I think this is good wherever you are, just assess the situation before you get out of the cab of your truck. If you have to abort the delivery, make sure you don't have any issues with your truck, that you're not going to break down. So, once again, this is just, I think, good stuff to do every day. Make sure that your truck is roadworthy. You've gone through that pre-trip inspection, doors, windows locked. You remove the key from the vehicle if it's unattended. If you get into a gathering like that, don't drive through it. Try to avoid any interaction to not provoke the group. Although, sometimes you really, sometimes you can't control that, as I think we've seen this last week. If you have a camera, use that camera, document that unsafe situation. And then just maintain that contact with your dispatcher and your safety department to get specific instructions from them. So those are just some quick tips. We're going to have that up on our website today, but I just thought it was really appropriate to go ahead and run through those really quick. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Paul, it's Bruce. We're working with the sheriffs, of course, and the county supervisors that put out their edicts on curfews, and they always seem to leave out. They say to and from work, but they always leave out essential service providers. FedEx, UPS. We're still delivering medical aid. We're still delivering things to the people and the residents. And we had a few problems with being pulled over in a couple counties. Said, no, you need to go back in. And going, wait a minute. By the state, we're essential. By the federal government, we're essential. Under curfew, we're delivering in a residential area that there's no businesses, there's no protesters here. You need to go back in. Well, we made calls and they rescinded it, but that would be great for governors to come out and make that statement that says, those drivers that are on the road are essential for, we just can't take truckers off the road because something's happened. Yes, learning, our people are taught to turn around and come back to the building. You're unsafe, get back to the building. That's all we tell them. But yeah, we've had a few of those problems in the Western U.S. in the last couple of days.
Well, and I hope not in Nevada. There was a curfew on Saturday night. Actually, I was having dinner, once again at Louis, when they called the curfew, which was about 2 blocks from where a lot of the protests were happening. Didn't know that there was going to be a curfew on Sunday night until about 5 that night, and I had already been in contact with the head of the county commission, the Division of Emergency Management in the state, with kind of Plowman, with the mayor of Reno. And when they released that press release initially on Sunday night, they did exempt those essential workers that are going to and from work. So we were able to get that in Reno. There was never a curfew in Las Vegas that was declared. And then kind of goofy on Monday, the mayor once again called for a curfew, and it was going to be indefinite, 7 p.m. That was pulled back the next day. So, I apologize for all the emails that, we keep sending out to everybody, but, just want to try to keep all you updated, in terms of what is happening. And, I know it's hard to get some of this information. It's not in the newspaper, it's following their Twitter feed. It seems like that's how we break news today. Thank you very much, Bruce. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any other questions?
That's exactly how I follow all the departments, because they're putting it on Twitter before it goes out to the thing. So I have every sheriff, every chief of police, everybody on my Twitter, just like you do, Paul, because that's what you share with me. And that has been such a benefit because if you respond to the Twitter, they respond back to you too. So it works out very well.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with that dumpster fire of a platform. All right. I probably editorialized way too much today. Hey, let's go ahead and turn it over to our friends at the FMCSA. Mr. Bensmiller. Bill, looks like you're muted. I'm trying to unmute you.
No, I did it. It was me, not you. And I want you to know I've spent about $400 since we talked last time. So just want you to know I am helping the economy here. So anyway, it's an inside joke between Paul and I. But
well, we could tell him. Bill and I did a little shopping together. To make sure that we're protected and we exercise our Second Amendment rights. Is that all right to say?
Yeah, it's good enough to say. So. Anyway, it's happy Friday, everybody, and I've just got a couple items. I'll make it quick. The hours of service relief rule did get published on Monday, and Paul's got that. I'm sure he's got it listed on his website. He's been really good about that, and we discussed it the other day along with training and other things like that when we were hanging out together. The reality of it is the actual rule will be final and go into effect. The effective date of that is September 29th. So it's September 29th is the date that you need to know for the effective date. We've done a couple, I will say, extensions. Any of you that have been on our website and on our webpage for emergency exemptions for COVID and other issues, you can see that it gets updated. That actually gets updated. I wouldn't say daily, but I'd say every few days it gets updated with something that, maybe comes out or we issue some kind of further relief. I'll let you know that there was some relief items that I don't think are for this call, but you might want to check. I would just encourage you to check that and take a look at it. And you can see at the bottom of the page, it'll say updated on this date, like June 1st or whatever, and it kind of helps you guide.
Really quick, a couple of those, one was for intermodal inspections.
Yep.
And then there was another one for drug testing, right?
Well, that one's not listed on there yet. I checked this morning, Paul, but we anticipate, or let's just say, I got to say it a certain way, there'll be further relief for pre-employment drug testing. It'll stretch out the 30 days out to about 90 days. So anticipate that. It'll be posted on there any day now. And then I'm also hearing that we are looking at how we're going to move forward with the emergency declaration. We talked about this last week. And what I'm kind of getting the gist of, and I don't know all the details, but we probably will extend it again. And I think that's highly likely. And then but probably what will happen is the language, you'll be a little more focused this time, like these deliveries, these things that are in direct support, things of that nature. But I think it's extremely likely that it'll get extended again. So stay tuned to that. Next week, we'll try to update everybody if it comes out by then. The last thing I'd like to say is you guys don't realize, maybe you do, but DMV is just doing a phenomenal job. And I'm getting approached by National Highway Traffic Safety, and they're trying to encourage other states to do more, not just in commercial driver's license, but driver's license in general. There's tremendous backlogs, there's lots of issues, and they're looking for ways to help those states in the West and all over the country to engage and try to do a better job for the traveling public that has driver's license and CDLs. And they even came to me and asked, how's Nevada doing this? How's Nevada doing that? Nevada's done an excellent job. And Julie Butler's team, they've been fully engaged and out in front of this thing. And I just want to do another shout out to them. They're doing a fantastic job. So that's really all I've got, Paul. So.
Hey, Bill, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Bensmiller? All right, Bill, you're off the hook.
Good.
Lieutenant Plowman from the Nevada High Patrol, are you on?
Yep, I'm on. Can you hear me?
I can.
There we go. Sorry, it was my computer all set up there.
No worries, buddy.
We don't really have a whole lot changing. Actually, the declaration thing was pretty upsetting, but I'm glad to hear they're going to change the language a little bit. That way, it'll get these guys some more activity out there to keep things safe. But I think I just want to mention that I speak for pretty much all law enforcement. In fact, I'd be shocked if anyone didn't. That no police officer agrees with what those officers did in Minneapolis. That's not even. I've never in my career seen anybody, restrain somebody to that manner. It blew my mind, and it's disgusting. But the response to it is what's even more disturbing. And I appreciate your mentioning Officer Shea in Las Vegas and the support and the prayers for him, because that's where it really hurts. So you see innocent officers all throughout the country right now are getting injured and hurt in these violent protests, and it's more damaging to me than it is helpful, and it makes it difficult to see the true cause of all this. And we're gearing up for this weekend. We got several squads for Highway Patrol in Reno area. I haven't heard from Vegas, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be on standby as well, or if not down there, ready to go. Hopefully they remain peaceful, so we don't have any replays of last weekend. But that's where we're sitting. And
Don, are you hearing information where our folks may need to areas where they may need to avoid in the next few days?
No, I haven't heard any true intel. I guess there's something planned for the Capitol, the governor's mansion, that kind of stuff. But I would suspect those are going to be more peaceful. But it's really just for the downtown area is where they're focusing, where they set up the ops plan for, just to be in preparation for that again. But and I'm sure the same for Vegas. I'm sure John Arias on there. He might have some more info for Las Vegas. And but preparation's really all the best we can do at this point. Hopefully it's not going to be necessary to use all, but we're certainly going to be prepared for it. And then if I hear anything as far as the curfew thing was, I'm sorry that happened, Bruce. So hopefully, like Paul said, done in Nevada, because it's kind of a common sense thing. If you're actively engaging in employment, like you're not doing anybody a favor by sending them back out. Now, keep them out of the harm's way, of course, but if they're not going down in those areas, then there's no reason to be turning them back.
What we had is the department that was pulling our, I found out, was represented by the Teamsters. So
Oh, okay.
we found that out later on. So, but yeah, we appreciate all that you're doing, or the department, anything we can do. And you're looking at a screen right now that if you need to swear us in, I'll fly from Long Beach. I'll be your backup in a heartbeat. So we love
Sounds
you
like a
guys
plan.
for doing what you're doing. So I'm there.
Yeah. Appreciate it. And then, yeah, I just I appreciate that, about the trucker safety that you showed, Paul, because, that's one of the things that was concerning me out in Minneapolis is, truck drivers getting, their trucks were being looted right on the side of the road there. There's really nothing they could do. And I can't imagine being in that position where you just feel so helpless. There's so many people. It's not, you have a right to defend your life and all, but, the numbers don't help out when you got 40 to 50 to 1.
Very, very true. Well, hey, Don, thank you very much. Lieutenant Arias, update from
Yes,
Southern
sir.
Nevada?
Southern Nevada for the last 5-6 days since last Friday, we started doing assistant metro. We've set up a unified command down here. And every day we've been ready. The last 2 days have been really good, positive protests, what we want to see, how we want people to gather together and exercise the First Amendment without violence. So that's been very positive. Earlier this week, we have been involved in a lot of shootings. Just 2 days ago, one of the vehicles for animal control was struck. We were in a pursuit. There's been a lot of stolen vehicles, a lot of pursuits and incidents, use of force with all our agencies combined these last couple of days. But the last 2 days, it has come down. As for the different areas to miss, we get intel, but we have, like, just example for today, we have 6 different locations that are across the valley, and they range in how many people are participating or going, and some of this information is classified. Although I do have one that I can address for today, which is going to be, let me check the major cross streets for it. The major cross street is going to be Lake Mead, close to the 15, maybe about 3 or 4 blocks away. There's a park that's over there. I can give you the address. I'll actually type it in here in a second. That what we're concerned is that they'll try to push it over to the street, over to the 15 area. We are doing a pretty good job trying to track these by camera all through the valley through a unified command and sharing that information and sharing that with RTC, so that if we do have a closure, as soon as we start having that closure or the public starting to enter the roadway, we will share that with RTC so we can get that information out to the motoring public on the highways. But just please know this happens very quickly and very rapidly. Where you think you have something under control, the large number of crowds that are very peaceful sometimes turn around and either become violent or become uncompliant, and that happens very quickly. And right now, like I said, we're having 6 today that we know of. There's sometimes others that pop up across the valley. We're kind of spread out to see which one starts acting up, which one starts getting worse, and those resources are being pulled to go help out in those specific areas. But yes, we do have an active unified command here in Southern Nevada, where Metro, Henderson, Highway Patrol, and North Las Vegas are all kind of working together to see where we can best support the services. But the last 2 days, positively, yes, it has been a little bit better. Let me go back here. All right. And the address, if you guys want it for today, again, this one's supposed to have about 800 folks that are going, 1,600 others that are interested. Usually the protests that we've been seeing can reach up to about 2,500 or so. So we're expecting about 1,000 at this site. The address is 951 West Lake Mead Boulevard. And again, that's just west of I-15.
Hey, Lieutenant, thank you very much. And, I just want to, express what I know everybody else on this is feeling, our support for you. And you guys who are on the front line are in our thoughts and prayers, and, praying for, everybody in the state that we don't see what we have seen in the last week. So thank you guys very much for what you do. Don, really appreciate your sentiments as well. I feel blessed to work with everybody in law enforcement that we get to work with here at the Nevada Trucking Association. Feel very blessed. You guys have been nothing but consummate pros, and just like there's bad truck drivers out there. There's folks that unfortunately can sully the reputation of an entire group or an entire industry. And just so you guys know, we're supporting you and appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Any questions for Lieutenant Arias or Lieutenant Plowman?
So this is Dawn, and I do have a question for Lieutenant Arias. And it's not necessarily related to the protests or the rioting, but I would like to know what traffic is looking like down there again. Is it starting to look somewhat pre-COVID as far as the amount of vehicle travel on the highways, or where could we kind of gauge what the travel is looking like?
It's starting to definitely increase. It's not pre-COVID traffic yet. We're still not having that early morning or late afternoon heavy congestion traffic that we had prior. So, but traffic is starting to pick up. It's been picking up for the last 2 weeks or so, but after the opening of the casinos, it definitely has increased a little bit more.
Okay, yeah, we're just trying to gauge on fuel consumption. So I thought you're a pretty good judge for what the traffic is looking like on the highways down there. So
I'll actually reach out to our partners at RTC that do the counting for the vehicles, and I'll get a traffic volume report for this week, and then maybe one for next week's meeting, so that way we can have an actual number of the difference for you.
Okay, that'd be good. And we are reaching out to RTC as well, so we are getting some of that information from them. So I was just kind of curious on what you're seeing. So
well,
all right,
Lieutenant, thank you very much. And hey, Don, since you're on.
All right, so again, I wish I could give you a little bit more information than I can, but I can tell you that there will be a press release on Monday as to our reopening. So that is great news. I also would like, I would also like to extend the support to not only DPS and our commercial and traffic officers through DPS, but for all of our law enforcement. And what's happening out there is just absolutely heartbreaking. And again, like Paul, like you said, there not only are there bad truckers, there's bad in every profession. It's a very, very small few, but they make a bad name for everybody when they come out. So, I just want everyone to know how much we appreciate the support that we get from you guys, and how much we recognize that you're putting your lives out on the line every single day, not just now, but every single day when you put that uniform on and go out in the public. So we do recognize that and appreciate what you're doing for us to keep us safe. I would like to kind of touch base a little bit on DMV stuff. So all of our employees are back in the office. We started back, I reported last week, we started back on the 26th. And field services is not back at 100% yet. They're kind of rotating to keep the social distancing and be able to work in a confined space without having that overlap. So, but what they're doing is they have reached out to customers that were in our queue prior to the closure to schedule appointments for them to come in and drop off anything that can be done without face-to-face contact in the offices. So they are doing that. And then the customers come back in later in the day and pick it up, similar to what we're doing both in Sparks and in at Donovan. And So they're doing that. They are getting appointments scheduled back up so that when we open, we have appointments already in the queue, ready to go. We're working on backlog, so all of the staff have been pitching in and helping the other divisions. So our central services division basically does everything that our field services technicians do, only they do it in the back office. So field services technicians have been helping with all of that backlog and trying to get that done. So we're pretty confident that when we open up to the public that we will have a pretty good handle on the 3 months worth of backlog that we had coming into this. So we have been discussing with our staff safety measures in the event that we were to have a protester or something like that, a group of protesters come to the offices, and trying to brief staff on how to handle that and not to engage, and you know that this is how we would handle it. So we do recognize that the MVs are high profile, and we do recognize that it's an easy place to get a voice heard. So we're trying to be a little bit cautious as we look toward our reopening plan as well. We don't believe anybody's in any danger or anything like that, but you know, it's always good to just have those reminders, kind of like earthquake drills, you know, which we've had quite a few firsthand here lately. So with that, there's really not a lot else for me to report on for DMV. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to take them, but then I'm going to be dropping off the call right after that as I have an appointment. So.
You're not getting your nails done, are you? I swear, if you're getting your nails done and I can't get mine done, I'm going to be upset.
Hey, I got my nails done already.
I want to thank
Silver State, buddy.
That's it. I want to thank you from UPS for always having an open door for us. You've been a rock star. So thank you from all the truckers. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate it. And, you know, again, we recognize the need, and we've, you know, has it been perfect? No, but we're doing what we can to try to get things done. So.
Well, hey, Don, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other questions for Don Lietz with Nevada DMV?
Well, I did see that Bill said that his son was able to get his learner's permit this week, and Millard said that the CDL office in Sparks is doing a great job. So sounds like we're keeping things moving. So thank you.
Hey, rocking and rolling.
16. Wait a minute. His son's 16 years old. Bill, how'd that happen? I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I've got a graduating senior on tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And his younger brother just got his permit, so be careful out there. And Bruce, why don't you schedule our appointment so we can get our toenails done? So
I'll do it. I'm in.
yeah.
Hey, all the salons are open in Nevada. Just come on over and make an appointment. You can get in.
I got to tell you, we just got Long Beach is, we got hit pretty hard this last weekend. And I just got word, I'm on the governor's task force in California. It looks like they're going to be opening a lot today in the next 2 hours. So we'll see what happens in California. So things have changed.
They almost have to with all the protests, and you've got 3,000-4,000 people all gathered together without masks. It's kind of hard to tell the rest of the public you have to stay home.
Don, we had 22,000 in LA yesterday. 22,000 in one area. I would say you should open up now. Yeah.
I would say there's no reason to hold things back any longer.
Amen. Well, hey, Don, thank you very much, and thank all your folks at the DMV.
I will do, and just watch for the press release on Monday.
Fantastic. Great news.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Hal, updates from Department of Transportation.
Well, I did send you, Paul, the closure information. So 95 is closed from Coaldale Junction on up towards Mina. So you got to still go around using State Route 360 and US 6 to get around the 95 closure.
And I know
that's
we got that, folks, and that's about a half hour detour.
Yeah, it adds probably a half hour to it, and it's going to go on for 2 weeks. So that started about Wednesday, so another couple Wednesdays before they go get that back opened up.
Well, fantastic.
And our other little piece is the potential civil unrest. We got direct contact with the threat analysis centers in North and South. And so we'll be on standby this weekend, because if protests and demonstrations get out of control, we can park a bunch of equipment on the on-ramps and off-ramps and shut down a bunch of access to downtown Reno in case you have convoys coming over from California with Oakland gangs and things of that nature. So we're working with NHP and Reno and Washoe County and all those groups we're on the ready if that happens.
Well, hey, Hal, I really appreciate that. And you guys will let us know on social media, or, I mean, is there a text you could send me that I can get out to our folks when, that stuff's happening, just, once again, to help contribute to that situational awareness for all our folks?
Yeah, I don't know if that state EOC is going to put things out immediately, but I can certainly text you if I know we're shutting down off ramps and on ramps.
No, hey, I appreciate that. Once again, Saturday night, I should have known better. I was going downtown. There were, 3 exits around Virginia Street that were all closed off with NHP. So, we did see them do that, on Saturday to, like you say, prevent more people from coming down there.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Hal, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for NDOT? All right. Well, anybody have any other questions for the good of the order or comments?
Just be safe. I just got 3 calls. They're hitting Long Beach again today. Again, peaceful protests, Long Beach State students and teachers, things of that nature. I think the bad ones are gone, but they're still hitting neighborhoods. We had a house invasion robbery 2 doors down, and they were staking it out. It was an elderly lady. They didn't get far. I'll just leave it at that. So picture wasn't in the press, but they didn't get far. But just be aware of your surroundings. It's not the protesters doing this. It's Antifa. It's organized crime. It's groups that just think that they can cause mayhem, and they're not going to be able to do that anymore. So I appreciate all the state workers out there, what you're doing to keep us safe. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. That's all I got.
Hey, thank you for that, Bruce. Great way to end it, unless there's another question or comment. If not, I just want to, once again, our prayers go out for Officer Shea McAlonis and everybody that is going to be out there protecting us this weekend. Good health and Godspeed to everybody. Going to go home now and hug my family. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Hey, Paulie, before everybody hangs up, is there anything we can do for the officer's family as a trucking organization, or if they can let us know? Because I definitely donate money to that. If they have something that they need, please let us know.
No, absolutely. I will do that. And, we're working on our newsletter, which is going to come out next week, and maybe in there. So if my editor will let me do a quick amendment.
Great.
All right. Hey, I want to once again thank everybody. Everybody have a great weekend.
Be safe out there, everybody.
Be safe.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.